Mass murderers, spies, unrepentant killers, and hardened criminals are mostly the kind of individuals executed by the United States federal prisons. There have been over 50 federal executions carried out since 1927. In this video, we will be looking at 3 most dangerous inmates currently housed at one of the most secure prisons in the whole world waiting to be executed. Number 1. Anzorovich Jahar Tsarnaev. Anzorovich Jahar was just 19 years old when he became one of the most dangerous American terrorists. He was born in Kyrgyzstan, but his family moved to the United States. He became an American citizen 7 months before the attack. Jahar, along with his then 26-year older brother Tamerlan, orchestrated the Boston Marathon tragic bombing incident on April 15, 2013. This act of hate resulted in the deaths of 3 individuals and injuries to over 260 others. On the day of the incident, during the annual Boston Marathon, 2 homemade explosives detonated near the finish line on Boylston Street. The incident occurred approximately 12 seconds apart, causing widespread panic and devastation. The attack took the lives of 3 people: Martin Richard, an 8-year-old boy watching the marathon with his family; Crystal Campbell, a 29-year-old woman, a restaurant manager; and Lingzi Liu, a 23-year-old graduate student from China. Over 260 others sustained injuries, many of whom required severe medical attention. After the incident, Boston was set on lockdown in order to track the perpetrators. Jahar returned to his university. He was studying mechanical engineering at the University of Massachusetts, and he remained there. He even used the school gym. And his friends said he partied with them after the attacks and looked relaxed. Some reports also suggested that 2 hours after the attack, Jahar sent out a tweet urging everyone in Boston to stay safe. A few days after the bombing, the FBI released images of 2 suspects carrying backpacks, asking the public's help in identifying them. The 2 brothers headed straight to their family home, where they took the remaining weapons and left immediately. They then drove to MIT, where they fatally shot MIT police officer Sean Collier in an attempt to steal his service firearm. Later that night, they carjacked a vehicle, robbed the owner, but the owner managed to escape and ran to the nearest gas station and called the police. The police were able to track them down, and the brothers immediately engaged in a firefight and high-speed chase with the law enforcement. During this confrontation, Tamerlan, the older brother, was critically injured after being run over by Jahar, his brother, who was attempting to flee. He was taken to the hospital and subsequently died of his injuries. Jahar managed to escape after ditching the stolen car and fled on foot. The authorities released his full picture to the public, and his face was all over the media, and a massive manhunt with thousands of police officers was carried out. During the search, his uncle came on television and publicly pleaded with Jahar to turn himself over to the authorities and ask for forgiveness. He also stated that he had brought shame to their family. A few hours later, Jahar was discovered the following day, hiding in a boat in a residential backyard. The owner of the boat had come across him severely injured, and hiding, he immediately called 911. The police arrived, and after the boat started having some movements, the police started firing, but were asked to stop by a top officer. Jahar, who had been shot severely, was apprehended and rushed to a hospital in Boston where he was treated. A nurse looking after him stated that he cried for 2 days. During the interrogation in his hospital bed, he couldn't speak, but he boldly admitted to carrying out the attack and indicated that the attack was religiously motivated, that he and his brother also intended to detonate another attack in New York City's Times Square. He also repeatedly asked questions about his brother to know his well-being. Jahar was charged with 30 federal offenses, including using a weapon of mass destruction, resulting in death, and malicious destruction of property, resulting in death. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. The trial began in January 2015, and on April 8, 2015, he was found guilty on all counts. During the sentencing phase, the jury recommended the death penalty for 6 of the charges. When asked if he had anything to say before the judge sentenced him, he rose to his feet, thanked the judge and his attorney, and apologized to the victims and their loved ones, stating, "I pray for your relief, for your healing. I am sorry for the lives that I've taken, for the suffering that I've caused you, for the damage that I've done. Irreparable damage." During his sentencing, the parents and relatives of the victims begged the authorities to sentence Jahar to life without parole, stating that the lengthy appeals period would force them to continually relive that day. On June 24, 2015, a federal judge formally sentenced him to death. In addition to the victims, Officer Dennis Simond, the first officer to arrive at the crime scene after the brothers attacked and shot the MIT officer, died a year later from the injuries he sustained during the shootout. As of April 2025, Anzorovich Jahar Tsarnaev has been on federal death row for nearly 10 years. He is incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, ADX, in Florence, Colorado, known for housing high-profile inmates. Number 2. Dylann Storm Roof. On June 17, 2015, Dylann Storm Roof, a 21-year-old boy from Columbia, South Carolina, committed a heinous act at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, an act that shocked the nation. The Emmanuel African Methodist is one of the oldest black congregations in the United States. On the evening of June 17, 2015, Roof entered the church, and he was welcomed by the congregation. He joined the Bible study session. After sitting with the group for approximately an hour, during the closing prayer, he stood up, forcefully brought out his firearm, and opened fire on the church members. 9 African-American individuals lost their lives in this horrific act, including Senior Pastor and State Senator Clementa C. Pinckney. 3 others survived the assault, and 1 was severely injured. After the attack, he fled the scene, but was apprehended the following day in Shelby, North Carolina. During a traffic stop, a female citizen recognized his vehicle from descriptions broadcasted by law enforcement and alerted authorities.
Something just kept telling me, there's something about that car.
She then tailed the suspect's car for some minutes until she was certain authorities were moving in for his arrest. Prior to the attack on the church, Roof had purchased a firearm with the money he got from his recent birthday celebration. When the police caught up with him after the tip-off, he was cooperative during his arrest, and during the interrogation, he confessed to the shootings, claiming that his actions were racially motivated, driven by white supremacist beliefs. His seized phones and gadgets also indicated that he had been in constant communication with other white supremacists. Initially, he was shocked by the number of victims that died from the attack, expressing little or no remorse. One of his friends also stated that the church was not his primary target, and that he was going for the school, but when he couldn't get through during the security check, he settled for the church.
He just said in 7 days, they all got 7 days, and that was on last week Wednesday, and then Wednesday coming, he shot all these people in the church. And I don't even think the church was his primary target.
Roof himself also stated that for a moment he thought of not going ahead with his plans because the church members were very nice to him, but after a while he decided to go ahead. Every evidence obtained and recorded from all his social media accounts and websites showed that Roof harbored deep hatred for the black community and was an active member of most of the white hate groups. He laughed and chuckled almost all the time during his interrogation. In December 2016, Roof stood trial in federal court on 33 charges, including hate crimes resulting in death, obstruction of religion, and firearm charges. During the sentencing phase, he represented himself and presented no evidence or witnesses. The jury found him guilty on all counts. In January 2017, After a separate sentencing phase, the jury recommended the death penalty, and the judge formally sentenced Roof to death. As of April 2025, Dylann Roof has been on federal death row for over 8 years. He is incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, which houses male inmates sentenced to death for federal crimes. In December 2024, President Joe Biden commuted the sentences of 37 federal death row inmates to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. However, Roof was among the 3 individuals whose death sentences were not commuted. In an unrelated case, after over 3 years of Dylann Roof's family not making a comment about the tragic attack carried out by their son, their daughter Morgan Roof, the younger sister to the church shooter, was arrested for bringing weapons and hard substances to school. She was given a $5,000 bond. One of the conditions of her bond that was set by a judge is that she is not allowed to return to the location of the incident, A.C. Flora High School. Number 3. Robert Gregory Bowers. On October 27, 2018, Robert Gregory Bowers carried out a devastating attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This assault resulted in the deaths of 11 worshipers, marking it as the deadliest attack against the Jewish community in U.S. history. On that fateful morning around 9:45 a.m., members of the Tree of Life, Dor Hadesh, and New Light congregations had gathered for their regular Shabbat services. Few minutes later, Bowers, described by eyewitness as bearded, heavy-set white male, armed with multiple firearms, including Glock .357 firearms and a Colt AR-15 rifle, entered the synagogue and opened fire on the congregants. The first 2 individuals he shot were 2 brothers, Cecil and David Rosenthal, at the main entrance, after which Bowers headed downstairs. Members of the congregation didn't initially believe that they were under an attack. The rabbi thought the noises were from a falling ceiling rack. One of the leaders of the congregation, Melvin Wax, who was described as a pure soul and a renowned leader of the congregation who was hiding in a closet alongside other 3 members, mistakenly opened the door, and he was shot. But Bowers didn't notice the other members hiding. He moved through the building and shot anyone he came across, including the ones in the kitchen. Bowers also shot Jerry Rabinowitz, a medical doctor who was rushing out to see if he can help anyone that has been injured. After attacking the members downstairs, he headed upstairs where there were over 13 people hiding alongside Rabbi Jeffrey Myers. The rabbi successfully helped about 4 individuals to escape, but couldn't help the others. Bowers entered and also opened fire and shot over 7 people and left 1 injured. Witnesses, including Rabbi Myers, who survived the attack, testified that they heard him shouting and making statements expressing his desire to harm Jewish people. The attack lasted approximately 20 minutes before law enforcement officers arrived on the scene. During the confrontation with the force, Bowers injured 5 officers before being shot multiple times. When he couldn't endure his injuries, he surrendered and was apprehended. He was taken into custody after the attack and charged with 63 federal offenses, including hate crimes resulting in death, obstruction of religious beliefs, and the use of a firearm to commit murder. His trial began in May 2023, during which his defense lawyers sought to persuade the jury that he had significant brain damage and was influenced by mental illness or delusions. The doctor assigned to examine Bowers stated that his actions were well calculated, and he was very proud of his actions and showed no mercy during the shooting. The defense also provided a huge record of his mental health issues, including an act he carried when he was just 13 years on his mother, where he threw inflammable liquid on her and tried igniting a fire. On June 16, 2023, he was found guilty on all counts. Investigations revealed that he discharged over 67 shots out of his rifle during the shooting. The sentencing phase concluded on August 2, 2023, with the jury unanimously recommending the death penalty. The following day, a federal judge formally sentenced Bowers to death. He was the first and only inmate sentenced to death by the U.S. federal government during President Joe Biden's tenure. As of April 2025, Robert Bowers has been on federal death row for approximately 1 year and 8 months. He is incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, which houses male inmates sentenced to death for federal crimes. Given the complexities of the federal appeals process, it is anticipated that several years will pass before any execution date is set. Thank you guys for watching. Do you prefer to see these people serve life without parole or be executed immediately? Comment below.